Hey everyone, this vlog accompanies a post on Oakland News Now. It's called Oakland, Utah, Wyoming Subsidize Call. Climate change is due to population growth, not energy type. And it starts with a paragraph that I using that comes from the Center for Biological Diversity, and it goes like this. The largest single threat to the ecology and biodiversity of the planet in the decades to come will be global climate disruption due to the buildup of human-generated greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. People around the world are beginning to address the problem by reducing their carbon footprint through less consumption and better technology. But unsustainable human population growth can overwhelm those efforts, leading us to conclude that we only need not just smaller footprints, but fewer feet. Lost in the entire discussion of climate change, and I think deliberately, is the fact that the real reason we have global warming is simply because there are more of us on this planet. Consider what we're going through now, the pandemic, and the number of reports how cleaner air was realized when everyone was sheltered in place so that fewer of us would get sick from the coronavirus. That's one giant example of what I'm talking about. Imagine then if we could look out to a future which saw a rate of population growth 50% less than what is projected right now. This wouldn't call for any kind of dramatic change in what we produce right now, but it would call for a dramatic change in policy, both in terms of birth control and education, because it is a demographic find that when education rates go up, birth rates go down, and that's a constant throughout the world, regardless of culture. So why aren't we focused then on controlling population? Because it's pretty hard to tell another country, hey, you got to get your population control act together. But it's what we face. It's what we have to do right at this moment. What has substituted it, thanks to people like Tom Steyer and others that would say that they're part of the climate change lobby, is a shift to the idea that simply de-investing from fossil fuels will do the trick. That is the biggest lie in the world, and it has created a kind of left versus right political dichotomy that further covers up the fact that just reducing emissions will solve our problem. While reducing emissions is necessary, it is not going to solve our problem. There are studies that have shown that reducing emissions, even to zero, will not cause a reduction in climate change as long as our rates of population growth remain what they have been. Thus, what do we have to do? It's very simple. We have to, it is imperative, reduce the rate of population growth. This directly impacts the Oakland bulk and oversized terminal, which is being built by my client, Inside Terminal Solutions, in partnership with the developer, Oakland Bulk and Oversized Terminal, LLC. The bulk terminal, it is not a coal terminal, was designed to handle a number of bulk commodities. But the city of Oakland, in the form of a Tioga group that was commissioned by Pat Cashman, who was an employee and then a consultant to the city of Oakland on the Oakland Bulk and Oversized Terminal project, found coal as the market that should be the focus for the bulk and oversized terminal. The idea of the Oakland bulk and oversized terminal was that of Phil Tagami, the CEO of California Capital Investment Group. The need for a bulk terminal goes all the way back to the 80s and a 1986 Bay Seaport plan. It was echoed further during the 500 Oaklander attended meeting called Oakland Sharing the Vision, and that was in 1991, where a deep water bulk terminal was considered the #1 economic development priority for the city of Oakland. So when the United States elected to close its military bases under President Clinton, there are a number of ideas to redevelop the West Oakland Army Base, from casinos to offices and hotels. But none of those options, save for one, promised the same kind of level of wages as the Army brought. The one that did was Phil's idea to actually build the bulk terminal. That is how all of this started. But Phil didn't have the idea what commodity to go after. That came from the city of Oakland. Pat Cashman hired the Tioga Group to write the Tioga Report, which really was a document that was designed to get rid of Phil. That's what it was designed to do, and replace Phil with another group. It was not a good thing, but Phil saw through it and reconstituted the people that he worked with, always with the eye of developing a bulk terminal to achieve as low emissions as possible, even to the point of firing Kinder Morgan, because Kinder Morgan refused to comply with Phil's order that covered hopper cars be used to haul coal as opposed to open pit. This is a key ingredient and remains a key ingredient in the overall assembly of operations that would lead to a low emissions bulk terminal. Phil fired them and replaced them eventually with Insight Terminal Solutions. There are people who, like for example, former Oakland Councilmember Nancy Nadell, claim that there was no such thing as covered hopper cars and would say, well, show me a picture. It's a little difficult to show you a picture of a covered coal car because you can't see the coal in it because the car is covered. But I digress. The point is that this effort, a number of people don't seem to realize this now, was designed to replace high-wage, arguably low-skill comparatively jobs that Oakland had lost. Jobs that could be filled by many in Oakland today. No, the Oakland bulk and oversized terminal is not going to solve the entire employment problem, but if it is built, it would be a fantastic start with more developments like it to come. The simple fact of the matter is we don't have a thriving, active, growing, non-threatened, heavy industry in Oakland. What we have right now is threatened either from development on one end or rampant, illogical, so-called, but is not environmentalism on the other. And I say it that way because the people who believe they're experts in that area are, in point of fact, not. People would say, like Nadell did about covered hopper cars, and yet that person would claim that they're an expert. I can go on and on and on. All of this has added up to one thing, however, disinvestment overall, with the idea that by stopping the Oakland bulk and oversized terminal, they would essentially halt fossil fuel production and use. That is folly. There's simply too much in the ground to be extracted cheaply that has a dramatically high worldwide value. That will not go away. To believe that it will is completely silly. But to not want to exercise the use of technology to improve our performance and lower emissions is completely foolish. Arguably, it's un-American. It is something that we should recommit ourselves to doing. I call it the Sputnik objective. Reconstitute traditional energy so that it produces as low emissions as possible. Clean up the jobs the people are working. Don't throw them out of them. And don't believe that you can simply transition a coal miner worker to, say, a job in the movie industry, only to find those jobs aren't there. I'm not kidding. There's some who've advanced that idea. If you look at these statistics right now, jobs that are associated with mining, like transportation, are among the most robust during the pandemic. It is imperative that we not only maintain, but we improve our basic industry. But we do so with a Star Trek focus, applying the latest technology to improve traditional energy, and that means lower emissions. But we have an even larger objective that we must embark on and maintain, and that simply is this: to reduce population growth in the future by at least 50%. Subscribe to Zenny62 and bookmark oaklandnewsnow.com.